Yo, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna be checking out drug dealer sneakers. About a decade, I like sneakers. I enjoy shoes, so you know what I'm saying. Why not see what these drug dealers be wearing? Because they really be trendsetters in their own way. So let's see what they be wearing and what not.
Drug dealers have always expressed their wealth through their purchases. In fact, people with money in general buy luxurious things such as yachts, cars, homes, jewelry, NFTs, mamalonas, or whatever as a means to flex on people. It's pretty common knowledge that sneakers are often used as symbols of social status. For sneakers, this all started back in the late 70s and early 80s when the dope boys was the rock stars and pushing weight meant something else. But before they started working the corner in their dope sneakers, we gotta give some context into how the drug trade even arrived to that point. Drug trafficking in the United States dates back all the way to the 19th century. From opium to marijuana to cocaine, a variety of substances have been illegally distributed throughout US history. During the mid-1800s, Chinese immigrants arriving in California introduced Americans to opium smoking. The trading, selling, and distribution of opium spread throughout the entire region. Opium dens, which were designated places to buy and sell the drug, began to crop up in cities throughout California and soon spread to New York and other urban areas of the
Well, they spread all the way from California to New York. You know how far it is? Look at my man right here laying down smoking that pipe. This is in the early 1900s. Y'all, they never want to legalize nothing, but they've been doing this for years. Crazy.
United States, where you might find a dude laid out on the floor in a bow tie and pinstripe suit, big chillin', puffing on an ancient substance. Before long, Americans were experimenting with other drugs like morphine and codeine. Morphine was especially popular for use as a pain reliever during the Civil War, which caused thousands of Union and Confederate soldiers to become addicted to the drug.
They've been sipping syrup and taking morphine too. These drugs
underground jazz
new.
clubs in Harlem were often filled with weed and booze thanks to the prohibition now being a thing of the past. Shortly after, the 40s and 50s ushered in the recreational use of heroin.
Oh no,
and it ruined the lives of many jazz icons like Charlie Parker and Billie Holiday. At one point, Lady Day was spending the equivalent of $10,000 a week on drugs. It was getting bad. And as the decades progressed, we saw nationwide drug abuse in the 1960s with the hippie movement, and then eventually arrived at the era of the pusher man, the 1970s,
I'm your pussy
where our
man.
look inside the drug dealer sneaker closet begins. You see, up until about the late 1970s, drug dealers weren't really rocking sneakers. They was wearing pimp suits and heavy mink coats. Imagine pulling up to your connect's house and he opens the door like this, cane in hand and all. Sneakers in the 70s were actually worn by mostly poor people, and when wealthy people or affluent people wore them, it was usually just for like sport activities, recreational activities.
That makes sense.
The actual status symbols were these flashy suits, and that's what drug dealers actually wore. But at some point in the late...
Imagine it being 90 degrees outside and you have a suit on every day. That's the only thing I think when I think about like past days, because I live in the South. So like, it's 99, 100 degrees in the summer. And you're in a suit every day. Like, every day. You are sweating. You stink, bro. Like, I couldn't imagine.
70s, the drug trade became a 24-hour operation, and entry-level street drug dealers began working the corners. And this is where the platformers and Stacey Adams boots were left behind for a more casual look. Not only could they not afford the flashy stuff, they were less obvious and more comfortable in bell-bottom jeans, Puma Clydes, and Converse. It's kind of funny to think that the Puma Clydes made it on this list because they're the signature model of New York Knicks legend Walt Frazier, who is known for his 1970s pimps outfits. Enter the 1980s, and the birth of sneaker culture and hip-hop paves the way for some of the most recognizable drug dealer sneakers to this day, the Gucci Tennis 84. During the early 80s, Gucci decided to create their very own version of the tennis sneaker, taking cues from the ADIDAS Rod Laver Super and similar silhouettes from that period. Gucci released an ultra-expensive alternative made in Italy with premium leathers and nylons, complete with the unmistakable Gucci bicolor detailing. The tennis shoe was intended for...
These look, they look just like the Adidas. What was they? They was popular when I was in middle school. Sabos. I can't remember the name of them, but They look just like the ugliest
Obviously
shoes, bro.
rich people of the excessively materialistic 80s. The Gucci tennis quickly became a status symbol of wealth and the most desirable sneaker for any hustler on the rise. Fun fact, Jay-Z's S. Carter's that he did with Reebok was heavily influenced by the Gucci Tennis 84, and it's basically like a 100% a ripoff of that shoe. But I think it makes sense,
Still ugly,
Jay-Z
bro.
growing up a hustler in Marcy
Still ugly.
Project.
The thing about these sneakers that they're showing us right now is it's like timeless, because now the high end brands sell the ugliest sneakers. Like, they 1 out of 5 are disgustingly ugly, and we still go out there and buy them. And then we got resale now. Like, oh my gosh.
I think it's dope. I like the S. Carter's better than the Gucci tennis shoes. The BALLY competitions. Back in 1985,
It looks
Slick
just like
Rick
the
and
other
Dougie
shoes.
Fresh released the song La Di Da Di Dee and gave us a peep into what was fly on the streets of New York during that era with the line, "Fresh dressed like $1,000,000, threw on the BALLY shoes and the fly green socks." A quick glance at the album cover, and you can see Dougie Fresh and the crew dipped out in FILA and BALLY sneakers. A look that
That's so
many
FILA
people
was
wanted
hot.
in the 80s, but not much had the money to afford, except of course if you were a crack era drug dealer. Alright, the FILA Tennis Low and the FILA FX 100. Speaking of FILA tracksuits, I know FILA was a big deal back in the day too. FILA was also producing tennis shoes, and these were actually attainable.
Hey,
unlike
these
the
feelers
Gucci
right here, you can still get these feelers. People still be rocking these. I don't know if they're gonna make a comeback like Champion. I said Champion, so weird, but the hot tops for these I
From the
had in like
Bronx to
third grade.
Harlem, you could see people imitating their favorite rapper or neighborhood hustlers in FILA velour and classic FILA heritage like the tennis lows and the FILA FX 100. I remember Nacho once told me that FILA was like Gucci to him. FILA had clout back then, and I can see the upcoming dope boys rocking these for sure. The New Balance 990, the very first version of the shoe. The
I
New
love
Balance
newbies.
990 was the first sneaker to retail for $100, and over in the DMV area of the country, hustlers were taking note. The first sneaker to ever reach a 3-digit price point? The dope boys had to have them. Thanks to the shoe's comfort and low profile, drug dealers preferred the New Balance 990 for spending long hours in the street attending to their customers. It's a hustler's classic to this day. Shout out to everybody who subscribed to the channel from the DMV. CORTEZ. As much as the Converse Chuck Taylor is considered the
he's not
footwear of
it.
choice for gangsters on the West Coast, on the East Coast, a lot of cats were wearing CORTEZ, mainly because they were more affordable and the aspiring hustler didn't have the money to shell out for some Gucci 84s. In the 80s, CORTEZ were a staple on the streets of New York, and it wasn't long before they seeped into hip-hop culture. Fun fact, co-founder of Rockefeller, Dame Dash, bought the rights to CORTEZ back in 2004. Rockaware even released a collab with CORTEZ, which I remember seeing everywhere in high school. Are CORTEZ
It's like
underrated?
Bapes.
Let me know in the comments down below. The Adidas Superstar. Alright, I'm putting this shoe on here, but really, it's
Bro,
all Adidas
I
everything.
hate
From the
these.
Gazelles, the Adidas Top Down.
I hate all of these, y'all. Like, I used to hate Adidas so much when I was in high school. Now, the Yeezys are cool. They have some Adidas that I like now, but these Gazelles, the shell toes, the classics, like, I was like, oh my gosh, I get them out of my face. Adidas got cold football cleats too. I'll give them that.
To the Adidas Forum. These were all rocked by New York hustlers in the 80s. It was the next level up from CORTEZ, and if you had the loot, you got to wear what was fly at the time, which was the Adidas tracksuits, jewelry, and most likely a fresh pair of Adidas Superstars. Peep these fire Deodoras that Nacho got for 20 bucks and gifted to me. Anyways, this video is sponsored by Nacho Average Finds. That's right, we are sponsoring our own video. And what I wanted to tell you guys about is our Patreon. We've launched a Patreon. If you don't know what Patreon
We got a
is, it's like
Patreon.
Sneaker and Nacho and
I'm
Our
not really
podcast.
into it, but
And we
y'all
do
can check it out.
giveaways.
Not your average finds.
So it's easier for you. Nike Cortez.
Now, I do like the
Let's take it over
Cortez.
to the West Coast.
Do like
In the early
these.
90s, the Nike Cortez was a common sight on the feet of cholos. The infamous Nike shoe was a dead giveaway that you were causing trouble in the streets. And in gangs, oftentimes drug operations were run by petty criminals who ran the distribution of the gang's drugs business. It was also sported as a way to signal allegiance to a certain gang by way of the colorway of the shoe. There were navy blue nylon pairs, black and white pairs, and blood red Cortezes. To this day, I don't think I'd feel comfortable walking around certain parts of LA with this sneaker on.
That
The
makes
Reebok
sense.
Classic and the Reebok EXOFIT Low.
I like
The Reebok
these right here. These are pretty fire. These are fire. I will get some of these. These not so much. Like wearing these, I feel like these got the same energy as like black Air Force Ones, but these are hard.
Classic and the Reebok EXOFIT Low were all popular sneakers on the streets all throughout the 80s and 90s. Not only were they fly, but they were literally the definition of a sneaker. These shoes were so low key that it was easy to be sneaky in them, especially the black pairs. Some even came equipped with gum bottoms, which made them perfect for withstanding the
My
long
homeboy
hours
Bernard
around
had
the
some of
block.
these.
These two sneakers are no question a dope boy essential. The Nike Air Max 95.
Yo, back in 9th grade, I had these exact 95s right here. My dad was getting them. We had like 4 or 5 pair in the house, and we were the same size. So I was like interchanging 95s. I was the 95
Air
guy
Max
in high
95
school.
was once a sneaker that was highly sought after by your local dope dealer. For real, the OG colorway is iconic. Trust me, I would know, bro. I was on the block. This sneaker was so infamous in certain cities like London that the UK police force literally listed the Air Max 95's footprint as its second most recorded footprint on crime scenes. As for the #1 sneaker on that list, the Nike Air Max Limited. These were released in 2002,
I don't really like these
and
that
they're supposed to be kind of like an evolution of the original Air Max 90. They feature a massive 270 air bubble in the heel, and for some reason this sneaker, the Nike Tailwind 4 and the Air Max TN are all
these are fire. These are some of the ugliest sneakers.
All highly sought after by criminals in countries like the UK and Australia. The Air Max TN specifically is basically Australia's Nike Cortez, off limits, unless of course you're pushing weight and jacking cars, mate. The Nike Air Force One. Can it get more?
The classic. First day of school, if you're not rocking the all whites with the crease protectors in the front, you know what I'm saying? Get them out of here. Now, I went to like my high school was like multicultural, so we had people who wore the dirty Air Force Ones. But every time, once I got a little yellow, I was giving them away, or like I had little brother, so I was giving them away. But you can only wear these so many times, man.
More dope boys than a pair of fresh, crisp Nike Air Force Ones? Look, we all love the Air Force One and we all wore the Air Force One. But it all started with the hustlers on corners in New York neighborhoods like the Bronx and Harlem. Originally designed by Bruce Kilgore as a revolutionary basketball shoe, the silhouette quickly moved from the courts to the streets and was favored by drug dealers as the crack epidemic tore apart East Coast inner cities. Dipset's Jim Jones put it like this: Air Force Ones was the first drug dealer's dream. By the early 2000s, the Air Force One became a pillar of the dope boys dress code.
Yeah.
Fun fact,
Air Force One's
while
hard.
not so much a drug pusher sneaker anymore, the Air Force One in an all-black colorway might indicate that you're ready to do some dirty work. The black Air Force One has been the subject of memes all over the internet, and for good reason too. Alright, as we wrap up this video, I'd like to say thank you to all the OGs in our sneaker enthusiast
Alright, man, well that's the end of this video. That's drug dealer sneakers by the decade, which I enjoy a lot of those sneakers like throughout my time, and I'm a rap fan, so I guess you grew up liking what they're wearing, because I know Nelly had the Air Force One song, and that's what made me really love Air Force Ones. But they have great taste. They have great taste, because a lot of these shoes I enjoy, especially 80s down. A lot of fire sneakers came out at 80s down for drug dealers. So let me know what y'all think. Did y'all like any of these shoes, or do y'all still rock any of these shoes? I know if I see a clean pair of 95, I'm still scooping them up. Air Force Ones are always a go. So let me know what y'all think. Make sure to like this video, comment, subscribe if you're new to my channel, and until next time, man, I'm Aubrey.
Yo, you made it all the way through the video. I really appreciate it. You can watch another one of my videos by hitting one of the links in the description, or by watching the playlist that popped up right now. YouTube might also recommend you a video, and that's great to watch as well. If you're new to my channel, I am Aubrey Love, and I post videos somewhat often now, so hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be notified anytime that I post. And if you're old to my channel, you know what we're gonna say now. So until next time, goodbye.